Before I get into the strategic oil reserve, let me just give you something that Reuters reported last night. The EU is set to declare a full embargo on Russian oil after this week's French election. Now, that election is happening, I believe, this weekend, is it not? And it's between Macron and Le Pen. It is close. I mean, remember last time, do you happen to know those numbers? The last time Macron ran against Le Pen, wasn't it like 80-20 or something?
It was something like, I want to say it was 70-30, 80-20, something in that general vicinity. Because they have a big election, top two go to a runoff.
Correct.
In that runoff, it adds up to 100% because there's only two candidates and everyone has to vote, pick somebody. So it was a blowout, though. It was not close. It was like, I can't believe she got into the runoff was the reaction to it. And then the runoff was not close. That's not the case this time.
Yeah, it's 45-55, Macron. And once again, the elites are deciding an election. In World War I, right before we went into World War I, Wilson said as his campaign slogan, "I'm not going to get you into war." Within just a few weeks after he was in office for his second term, after the election, we were at war. He sent the troops to war. The elites always think they know better, and so they will keep things from you. And that's exactly what the European Union is doing with the French people. They don't want to upset the election because it's so close, and what they're about to do would push it in Le Pen's favor. They are about to declare a total embargo on Russian oil. They're supposedly, according to Reuters, going to do this next week. This will cause a massive spike in the price of oil. I'll give that to you here in a second. But first, let me ask you, is this really hurting Russia? Because they've found other buyers for all of their oil. They have found buyers in China, in Turkey, and India. And these people are saying that if this happens, they'll buy more. So they have remarkably, according to J.P. Morgan, the Russian crude exports are actually averaging 360,000 barrels above pre-invasion volumes. Now they're saying that they're going to Europe will cut all of that. And when they do, according to J.P. Morgan Chase, the price of Brent crude oil, $185 a barrel. $185 a barrel. That, because of inflation, is about where the price of oil was, about $145. For how long? In 2007 or 8. This is what caused the collapse of our economy. It was oil prices. The entire Western world is built on the back of energy prices being no more than $100 a barrel. Every time it's over $100 a barrel, it hurts the economy. And it stops it. If you can get it down to, what did Trump have it down to? Like $60 a barrel? When you get it down there, you're starting to hurt Russia. But high prices help Russia, Saudi Arabia, and hurt us, the entire West. At $185 a barrel, I don't even know what gas prices would be, but we're probably all paying $5 plus. California, good luck. How long can the Western world survive that? Now, here's what's interesting. India and China and Turkey have already said they would take this oil. Europe is not thinking about just pulling all of the oil and stopping at cold turkey. They are thinking about maybe doing it more slowly over a period of months. Well, that gives Russia time to make all the deals. Who wins in that scenario? You don't have oil, they have buyers. What is that? By the way, the Russian break-even for oil is less than $10 a barrel. So they're talking also about price caps. We'll only pay $20, but you're still giving them $10 on every barrel. I mean, I don't understand. You're just hurting yourself with this. And, you know, I'm beginning to wonder. You remember Biden had the emergency strategic oil reserve, petroleum reserve. And he said he was going to release 180 million barrels of oil. 180 million barrels of oil from the strategic petroleum reserve. That's 1 million barrels a day for 180 days. And it would end, shockingly, just right after the midterm elections. Okay? So he was going to do that. And remember what he said? I'm going to do this because I want to help the average person at the gas pump. Well, somehow or another, the definition of an emergency in helping you now includes making a profit at the expense of American consumers, because sooner or later, a real emergency will hit and we will need the fuel. According to Matt Smith, oil analyst and commodity data firm Kepler, we are now exporting our strategic oil reserve crude, and we've been doing it since last November. So when Biden said we're going to release some and it's going to help the average person, no, that's not true. Unless you consider the citizens of Europe the citizens of the United States. Why didn't we know this? Why is he doing this? This is really not going to help. I mean, unless he's buying the support from Europe. Why would we buy the support from Europe? Support for what?
2 years ago today, what were oil prices?
I don't know.
Today it's $104?
Yeah.
2 years ago today, oil prices $16.94.
$16.
An asterisk, of course, here in that is we are in the worst part of the pandemic at this point, which is a massive. That is the lowest it went, but that was 2 years ago exactly today. $16.94. It's now over $100. And, once we rebounded off the real catastrophic drop of the pandemic, it was around $40 after that. And now we're at $104.
$40 to $60 is a dream.
Yeah, 40 to 60 is where it was throughout 2019, most of 2017. It's a little higher at times in 2018, but had leveled off between $50 and $60 before the pandemic hit. And then, of course, all the way down to $16. That's amazing. I wish I would have bought oil back then.
Stu, can you tell me what exactly do you think is happening with the strategic oil reserve being released, some of it at least, to Europe? That's not for Europe. That's for us. And that is actually not for price relief. That is to run our ships, our Navy, our Air Force.
What it's supposed to be, certainly.
Exactly right. Okay. And then we seem to be going closer and closer. Remember, Joe Biden said, I don't want to do anything that's going to, look like we're supporting Ukraine in any military fashion. We're not going to replace those planes for Poland if they do that. We're not going to be involved in that at all. Okay. Because that would be akin to an act of war.
Right.
He was very clear on that, wasn't he? Or was it just
like
me?
It. No, it seemed like it.
Yesterday, NBC News cited 5 U.S. officials that said a new arms package, which will bring our military aid to $3 billion, is going to be announced. Listen to this. We are now selling them howitzers, anti-aircraft systems, anti-ship missiles, armed drones, armored trucks, personnel carriers, and even tanks. Now, that sounds to me as bad, if not worse, than some old planes from the 1960s that we weren't even going to do. Why are we doing this? By the way, Russia sent a warning to us that if we start delivering these, quote, most sensitive weapon systems to Ukraine, it will bring unpredictable consequences. I don't think they're unpredictable. You keep using that word. I do not think it means what you think it means. I don't think it's unpredictable. Are we shooting ourselves in the foot by giving away our oil reserve, even selling our oil reserve, just touching our oil reserves at this point, while we're antagonizing the bigger bully and maybe the biggest bully on the block?
With over 6,000 nuclear weapons? Yeah, that seems like a problem to me. Now, if you're going, the back sort of, the backstory as far as the reporting goes seems to indicate basically we're trying to say to Europe, you guys need to stop buying Russian fossil fuels. And they say, well, what are we going to use? And this is part of our answer, right? Well, we'll send you some from our strategic oil reserves to help, lower the burden as you cut this off.
We just open up our system, it's going to take us 6 months, but we're already 6 months into this. We're going to open up our systems again. We're going to start pumping it like we were, and we'll sell it to you for $60 a barrel. And we're going to leave our strategic oil reserve alone. It's really getting simple.
It's fascinating to watch this because you mentioned before, you're like, wasn't he really clear about this? And he was really clear when he said, that we were not going to do anything that was going to escalate us into war. But to say that he was clear really about any of this overall is really difficult to say. He's gone back and forth over and over again. Remember, this guy ran a platform saying we're going to get rid of fossil fuels. We're going to eliminate them. We're going to be, net zero. All of these things that he said to environmentalists to get their vote. Then he gets in front of the public and people say, hey, you keep saying you're going to get rid of all these fossil fuels. Now we're having an oil price crisis. What's the deal here? Gas prices are going through the roof. It's hurting families. And he says, we haven't done anything. We haven't done anything to stop production. What are you talking about? Now, there was a court ruling that said they have to open up new leases, not their action. The court said you have to open up these new leases. So the environmentalists are mad, and he's saying again, we're not doing anything. This isn't us. So they've gone back and forth on this so many times because they're telling the left that they're absolutely attacking fossil fuels.
They are.
And then telling the American people we're not doing anything on that front at all. All these oil companies are just so greedy, and that's the problem here.
All right, just do me a favor and prepare for a bad scenario. Maybe it doesn't come, but so far it looks like that's what they're going to announce next week.